Hello everyone, my name is Mr. Big T Anderson, and this is Spirit Hunters of the Maoshan Sect, Chapter 1. This is obviously Gravity Tale setup. Sorry. Now, let's jump right in. First, let us go over... The author is King Z, translator Blender Gaming, Moonlight Shadow, Shadow of Amulet, editor Nora. So... if you are new here, basically I'm just reading these. I'm trying to do this, give a good dramatic reading. If you enjoy the story, as all these are more than one chapter, hit the links down below, give it a good read. If you enjoy my reading of it, you can leave a comment. I love talking with y'all. And with that, let's begin. (1990). The 15th day of the 7th lunar month. The Hungry Ghost Festival. A full and bright moon hung in the sky. The Chinese calendar described this period as a time filled with yin-ji. People were warned to stay at home and do nothing. They could not carry out any major events, such as starting construction works or wedding ceremonies. But there was a desolate village, called Yi Village, situated at the very outskirts of Weisheng County, Yu State. According to their traditions, all the families would prepare 2 stacks of hell notes to burn in front of their homes. One stack was for the ancestors, the other was for the lonely and wandering spirits that roamed the mortal realm. And after the lonely spirits received the paper money, they would head to their rightful locations and would not haunt the families. The families would shut all the doors and windows after burning all the hell notes. Then they would rest early. If a family believed in Buddhism or Taoism, they would usually pray and offer sacrifices to the gods, as they hoped for protection through the night. It started to rain deep into the night. The rain hitting the leaves created a sound reminiscent of lonely ghosts wandering around, while the blowing wind sounded like weeping, and the rain added a strange and eerie feeling to the night. On a small road at the entrance to the village, a blurred shadow could be seen trudging in the rain. The figure walked from the village to the hills and entered a graveyard that housed many dead Yi family members, and the Yi family had many ancestors buried here. Finally, the shadow stepped in front of a grave without a headstone, and suddenly, the shadow pulled out a spirit summoning banner, stuck it into the ground. The wind was strong, so the flag waved rhythmically in front of the grave. The fresh earth and the upright spirit summoning banner indicated this grave was fresh. I've come to visit you, sister-in-law, for today is the 7th day since you died, and it is also the Hungry Ghost Festival. He paused in front of the grave. Someone in his 30s. A man took a red umbrella from his bag. He opened and set it in front of the grave, blocking the drizzling rain. He carefully lit 3 sticks of incense, stuck it into the ground that the umbrella covered. Without caring about the mud, he kneeled down and kowtowed 3 times. After paying his respects, he picked up a shovel and started to unearth the grave. Fresh earth covered the grave, but it was easily removable with the help of the soaking rain, and in 20 minutes, a rectangular hole was dug out, and he struck something hard. The man wiped away the thin layer of mud, and a scarlet coffin appeared. People usually painted coffins a deep velvet. However, they would paint coffins scarlet in some unfortunate cases. It represented that the person had died suddenly. People who suddenly died were believed to be filled with anger, and the redder the paint, the more effective it was in suppressing the angry spirit. 33 red strings of different sizes wrapped the coffin. These strings crisscrossed each other in a net-like fashion, and these strings held the coffin in place in case the dead woke up and wanted to break through that coffin. The man kneeled in front of it and said, "Sister-in-law, I've come to help you." He took out a knife and started to cut the red strings. After that, he used a crowbar to take out all 7 nails that were fixed deeply into the coffin's lid before taking a deep breath and opening it. The weak light from the incense illuminated the corpse. A female corpse wearing white burial clothes, laying motionless. Her face pale white, her eyes murky and wide open, similar to those of dead fish. A pained expression remained from when she died. The whole corpse was releasing a cold aura. It was an aura of death. The man choked a bit when he saw what was before him. He felt weak and quickly kneeled down and kowtowed another 3 times. And with a trembling voice he said, "You died while you were giving birth. Your child died inside of you. Your family members insisted on following the family laws. They dictated that your baby must be buried separately, and so they ripped the baby out from your body, buried it somewhere else. Tonight's the night when your spirit will come back, and I, Yi De Bao, has brought your poor child back for you to hold once more." As he spoke, he took out a cloth-wrapped object from his bag, and when he opened it, it was revealed that a baby was inside. He laid the small corpse on its mother, then quickly backed off, kneeled down, as a sharp and terrifying cry sliced through the rainy night. Suddenly, the female corpse rose from the coffin, stood up. Her arms squeezed tightly, her 10 dried, skinny fingers held the back and head of the small corpse, and at the same time, her face gave off an eerie and stiff smile. Yi De Bao was still in his kneeling position. He said to the corpse, "Sister-in-law, now that I've completed your wish, will you please help me complete mine?" After he made his request, he quickly took the incense from the ground to smoke and burn the lower jaw of the corpse. At the same time, his other hand held a copper bowl to collect the oil that was dripping down from the female. Surprisingly, the mother stretched her neck out even more, staying still to assist Yi, and the corpse oil slowly dripped into the copper bowl. A thick layer of oil filled the bowl after 10 minutes of collection. As he was collecting the oil, the female's eyebrows slowly started to move up, and her face became even more terrifying. De Bao quickly put away the burning incense and the copper bowl. He wrapped the copper bowl with playa film and stowed it in his bag. Then the female corpse slowly and steadily laid down in her coffin, the baby in her arms. Her satisfied expression gave him a great relief. "Sister-in-law, now that you have your baby, please rest and cultivate. It will take 49 days to become a pair of violent undead and exact your revenge. I will close your coffin now and let you rest." After 10 minutes, he had finished covering the grave with earth and made it look untouched. Then he bowed and rushed down the mountain. A month later, in the home of the village head, Yi Dagong, August was one of the hottest months of the year, and people usually opened up their doors and windows to ventilate their homes, but not Yi Dagong. The doors and windows of his house were tightly shut. And there were 3 burning coal furnaces inside. A 5 to 6-year-old child laid on his bed, and a thick quilt covered him. His lips and nails were cold and purple. While he shivered, he unceasingly mumbled that it was cold. Yi Dagong had only stood in the room for a while, but he had already started to sweat from the heat. He let out a sigh and walked from the room. A quick swipe of his hand took away the sweat and tears from his face. "Father, is Xiao Yang gonna be okay?" A woman in her 20s came and asked, and a pair of puffy eyes looked eagerly at Yi Dagong. She was his daughter-in-law and the mother of the sick child. Let's first wait for Zhao Bing. Yi Dagong shook his head in despair, as he had never seen this kind of condition in his 20 years of being a doctor. He had taken his grandson to all the hospitals in the county and even the whole state, but he could not find anything abnormal. He began to suspect that his grandson wasn't sick, but maybe some spirit troubled the child. A month ago he hired the town's witch to hold a ritual, but it was of no help, and as such he sent his son to the city to find someone with greater power. As he was speaking, his son, Ye Bing, came back, bringing along an old Taoist. He is a Taoist I found in town. He's heard about our problem and is willing to come and take a look. Thank you for coming, sir. Ye Dagong cupped his hands to thank him. His eyes scanned up and down the Taoist, trying to size the fellow up. This old Taoist seemed to be in his 60s. His face was sharp, with a small mouth and a pair of outward-sloping eyebrows that hung above two triangular eyes. He wore really old Taoist robes, carrying a canvas bag, and from the moment he stepped into his house, his eyes were wandering, scanning everything. He did not have the aura, the simple aura of a Taoist, and yet Dagong was very suspicious. After all, there were many scammers that pretended to be monks and Taoists. However, Ye Dagong had no other choice, and since this Taoist was already here, he figured he might as well let him try. As such, Ye Dagong brought the Taoist to his grandson's room. So, I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to try and get these done. I know my schedule's off, but I'm trying to work on it. So, if you enjoy it, let me know. If you don't, let me know. I always prefer comments, and toodaloo.